Hello, so today we're going to learn about multiplying decimal numbers together. Now, this is almost exactly the same as multiplying whole numbers together. We just have to do an extra step at the end. So, if you are not yet familiar with how to multiply whole numbers together, I recommend you check the other video about long multiplication practice. Now, let's start with multiplying the numbers 2.34 times 65.8. Okay, now, when we start, we just completely ignore the decimal point. We worry about the decimal points at the very, very end. So same thing as usual, we take the longest number and write it on top. Now, because both numbers have 3 digits in them, these are both 3-digit numbers, it doesn't matter which one we put on the top. So I can just write 2.34 times 65.8. And it's very important that we line up our numbers on the right hand side. We do not need to line up the decimals, and we will find out why at the very end. So make sure your numbers are lined up on the right. Decimals do not need to be lined up. And we will put in our little wee guides to make sure that we write everything in their own column. Now let's begin just like normal. We start with the first number on the bottom, right? Here, that is 8. We're going to multiply with everything on the top, right? And then afterwards, we will move on to the 5, multiply everything on the top. Then the 6, multiply everything on the top. So 8 times 4 is 32. And we write down the 2, carry the 3. 8 times 3 is 24. Plus the 3 is 27. 8 times 2 is 16, plus the extra 2 is 18. Now, we move on to the 5. Because we are now starting at the 5, we start writing our answer down here in this column. But since we sometimes can lose track of where we're up to, we can put a 0 here to remind ourselves that this is our placeholder and we should not use this spot. So we have 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 3 is 15, and 2 is 17, right? 5 times 2 is 10, and 1 is 11, right? Now up to the 6. So now where we start writing underneath the 6 here, so we're going to need 2 placeholders. All right, so now 6 times 4 is 24. Make sure we write that underneath the 6. 6 times 3 is 18, and 2 is 20. 6 times 2 is 12, and 2 is 14. Now that we are all done, we can add these together. 2, 7, 8, 7 is 15, and 4 is 19. 1, 1 and 1 is 3. 1 and 4 is 5, and 1 is another 5. So now we've got this massive number here, all right? And we're almost finished. All we need to do is put the decimal back into the correct spot. So the way we do it is we need to count how many decimal places are in the original question. So the original question had 2 decimal places here and 1 decimal place here for a total of 3 decimal places. This means our answer is also going to have 3 decimal places. So the decimal is over here to begin with, the place where all decimals go when there are whole numbers. Now we move it 3 places to the left. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. So our decimal is going to end up right here. This means that our answer, 2.34 times 65.8 is going to be equal to 153.972. Now we can do a little bit of estimation just to check that we've got our decimal in the correct place. So we can say that 2.34 is pretty close to 2, and 65.8 we can just pretend that is 70, right? And we know that 2 times 70 is 140. So our answer should be somewhere close to 140, right? Because we have 153.972, which is pretty close to 140, we can say, yeah, this passes our check, and yes, this is our answer, right? I hope this helps. Please let me know if you have any questions.